everyone likes to say it's been dying. I've been told that my entire 20 plus year career. All to say it's not. It is, as my business partner likes to say, appointment viewing of that physical, tangible thing that you're getting in the mailbox. You have to do something with.
Welcome to another episode of The Profitable Creative, the only place on the interwebs where you will learn to turn your passion into profit. I am your host, Christian Brim. Special shout out to our one listener in Yonkers, New York. I don't know why. I just love that name, Yonkers. I don't know what its origin story is, but it's awesome. Thank you for listening. Joining me today, Jeff Kruszyna. No, give it to me again, Jeff.
It's all right. It's Kruszyna.
Jeff Kruszyna with JMK Victory. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Christian. Looking forward to a good conversation today.
Hopefully Randy will edit all of those out. Maybe he won't. Maybe he finds it humorous and leaves it in. I trust Randy explicitly. So anyway, Jeff, tell us, what is JMK Victory?
Sure. So it's a full service kind of soup to nuts direct mail fundraising company. So I like to say, think about the physical mail you're getting in your mailbox, asking for you to support anything from political campaigns, nonprofits, charitable organizations, 501c3 and C4 nonprofit organizations, patriot economy type businesses, anything kind of pro-America in theme, but good old-fashioned postal mail. So we do everything from my bread and butter is the creative, so the actual copy and create graphics that go into everything from the outside of the envelope to the story that's told within the pages inside that envelope, to a call to action, which is support a worthy cause, whether that's a political campaign or a nonprofit or for-profit patriotic business. And then everything on the back end of that. So the what's called the caging, and which is just the processing of all those checks and credit cards and contributions, and all the analytics that go into it. So everything is measured down to the penny. So that's where kind of the art and science of direct marketing and direct mail fundraising specifically kind of are attached there. So I know exactly down to down to exactly the penny, whether or not, each campaign. So each time we send out a mailing, whether it's to acquire new donors or to cultivate those existing donors to have them upgrade or become sustainable givers, monthly givers, we can measure everything down to the minute detail on the analytics front. But so good old fashioned postal mail. And we do everything, and we also can offer services that are a la carte. So if you only need the print production or the audience building, as far as who we're targeting in the mail, or just the creative component, the art and the copywriting, we offer those as standalone offerings, in addition to the kind of all encompassing run a fundraising program for you type approach.
Do you? I'm sitting here looking through, trying to find. This is where I need a show producer. We had an episode with a OG of direct marketing, and I cannot remember his name. But it was a fascinating show. Talking, like he was one of the original financial newsletter producers, a la Kiplinger, and at one point they were bigger than Kiplinger, and how that has changed and how it has not changed over his tenure. I personally think that physical marketing is something that is not emphasized enough with businesses. Because we've been distracted for the last 25 years with digital, and there's always something new and there's always something changing. But I think when you can put something physical in someone's hands, it lands differently. You get different level of engagement, and you stand out more because you're not lost in the digital weeds. Do you do the printing, or is that something that you subcontract out?
So we subcontract that out. We have a production manager on our team that works with a whole host of different print shops all across the country to make sure we're getting the best pricing and turnaround time. But so I would echo everything you said, and definitely we'll use that in our marketing because yes, physical mail is it's. Everyone likes to say it's been dying. I've been told that my entire 20 plus year career, all to say it's not. It is, as my business partner likes to say, appointment viewing of that physical, tangible thing that you're getting in the mailbox. You have to do something with, whether that's, you're going to put it down on your kitchen counter, you're going to go have your morning cup of coffee and go through your mail. And you can definitely remember when you get a piece of mail versus, how many emails you have, or now even text messages were the latest, greatest thing as far as fundraising. And, I'm a big proponent of you should be fundraising and speaking to your donors across all channels, but it's a lot harder to find, an email that you got from 3 days ago than it is to find a direct mail letter that you got in the mail 3 days ago. You're going to remember either, the color of the envelope, who it was from, something about it that stood out. And that's, the crux of my job is, as folks are checking their mail, you only have, a handful of seconds for them to, like, what am I going to do with this? Like, am I going to actually open it and read it, or am I going to toss it? And that's the, the beauty of the art and science of everything from, the weight of the paper to the color of the envelope to what fonts or you select or the kind of addressing, the stamps that you use, like all of that goes into the kind of science of the marketing of it, and then the art of the narrative storytelling, whether you're a political campaign or a nonprofit, making that one-to-one connection with between the person who we're ghostwriting on behalf of, so the organization, figurehead or political candidates, and then that individual donor, making them feel like it's a one-to-one communication, even though we are obviously mailing hundreds of thousands of pieces of mail.
Hey listeners, are you ready to turn your passion into profit? Then grab a copy of Profit First for Creatives. Click the link in the show notes to purchase a copy. And if you're not ready to make that full commitment, you can download a free copy of the first chapter. Check it out right now. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when people didn't like junk mail because it was in their mailbox and they were looking for something that, was actually sent to them personally. And now it's kind of come back. It's gone full circle where like people are actually excited to get something in the mail, even if it wasn't a card from grandmother. And I think the allure of digital over the last 25 years, and I think it's accelerating with AI, is the I put this in air quotes, the cost. Like Sure. It's cheap, right? And it doesn't cost anything to send emails, and I'm not bagging on email marketing. I mean, email marketing works, but there's an allure to the cheapness of the digital tools that I think hides the value of something physical. That's just my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. Again, the barrier to entry for direct mail stops a lot of folks, but my counter to that is always the lifetime value of a donor you're getting or you're acquiring through physical mail is far superior and far higher. And those donors give not only more often and longer term, than your traditional, email acquired donor.
So, what's your origin story? How did you end up
Sure.
with this in this space, and how did you come up with the name?
Sure. So the origin story, I'm originally from New York. So when you shouted out Yonkers, I know where that is. I'm from Long Island, so south of and east of New York City. Yonkers is a little bit north, just outside the city. But anyhow, my origin story was I was a college student on campus, and it happened to be, that Tuesday morning that all of us remember where we were, September 11th, 2001. At the time, I was thinking, I was a declared computer science major, going to go, thought I knew better and thought I was going to go into a career of tech, work for Microsoft or some, big Silicon Valley company. But the Lord had a different plan for me. And after witnessing on repeat, watching from the Student Activity Center, the second plane hitting the second tower, something kind of stirred inside of me to change my focus and really start paying attention to world events, what was happening, not just, war on terror obviously was front of mind for everyone, every one of us, as Americans, but also being, 45 minutes from ground zero of, I still vividly can remember hearing, the helicopters bringing folks to the university hospital because they had the biggest burn unit nearby. So all those sort of that experience of that day and the days after, the kind of spirit of September 12th, where we were all, unified as Americans and we're going to go, kick the terrorist butt. That really kind of galvanized me. I got I switched my major from computer science to political science, got engaged with Young America's Foundation. That's still a client to this day, where they were kind of the precursor to what a lot of folks know of what the great work that Turning Point USA is doing too. And we work with them as well. But getting young folks involved politically on the right side, so on the Republican America First side of politics, and from there, I got my first job in direct mail fundraising in the DC area, where I've been ever since. And JMK Victory. Yes, JMK are my initials and my son's initials. So Jeffrey Michael Kruszyna and my son Jonathan Mitchell Kruszyna. But I also like to commonly say, Jesus Mighty King, because we're filming this the day after Easter Sunday. So the victory on the cross is really the victory. We should all have that kind of frame of reference to. But in general, we work on political campaigns and. The victory, whether it's on the primary election or general election, that's owed to that. But ultimately, we're doing this for a greater purpose. So that was sort of the origins of the JMK Victory name, and coming from a college student in New York on 9/11 to now a 25-year career in Republican campaigns and direct mail fundraising specifically.
So when did you make the transition? And I don't want to breeze past that. I do want to come back to it, but I want to get a couple of more questions out first. So At what point did you start your business?
Mm-hmm. So we launched actually almost exactly 3 years ago. To the day after, so my business partner and I both had long careers at larger agencies, and finally got to a point where we had been talking about it for years on and off of when's the right time, we're going to do this, and about 3 years ago, pulled the trigger and formed our company, and haven't looked back since. Because ultimately we wanted to be able to serve the kind of clients, but with the kind of boutique mindset of, we're one big family, we're joining your campaign, we're intimately involved in advising, even if it's beyond just the scope of our bread and butter of direct mail, to be helping with the messaging, whether you're a nonprofit or a for-profit or a campaign. But yeah, so we've been in business for about almost exactly 3 years now, as JMK Victory. But yeah, that's in a nutshell what we've been up to.
So what was it that galvanized you to it? Sure is, it couldn't have been COVID. I mean, like, if my math is right, you're doing this right at the tail end of COVID. Like, what galvanized you to say that, okay, now's the time?
Sure. I mean, a couple of things. One, I was about to turn 40. So if you can do math, I'm a little bit older than 40 now. But really, it was this, if not now, then when? And, if we were just to, I mean, both of us independently, Joel and myself, having worked at bigger agencies, like, yeah, it would have been, easier just to kind of ride it out into retirement, as executives at bigger agencies. But really, it was the being able to pick and choose, and really the ability to say no to some clients that don't align with us, with our vision for our company, and the sort of clients that when you're a bigger agency, you kind of have to hold your nose here and there, and you got to feed the beast. And the too many of those over the course of each of us having 20 plus year careers in direct mail and direct marketing, finally was enough. And the coming up to my 40th birthday was no better time than then.
I love that. So did you guys work at the same agency?
So we did overlap for about 5 or 6 years, and then my business partner went off to work at another agency right before we launched together. And it's we have a good kind of symbiotic relationship where we complement each other, and most importantly, the idea of being equally yoked. Of we're in alignment on not just our business core competencies and where our strengths and weaknesses complement each other, but also kind of long-term vision for the kind of company that we're looking to build, and the kind of folks that we're looking to bring onto our team, and above that, the great clients that we look to serve and are serving right now, because we are in the heat of a midterm election, so we do have quite a few political campaigns we're working on.
Yeah, it tends to be chicken or feathers if you're in that industry, for sure. So approximately how big were these agencies that you worked for?
I mean, both were 80 to 100 folks,
Okay.
and we're quite substantial, and we're right around that 10-person lean, mean fighting machine size right now. So that's not too much bigger than where we are now is where we want to kind of stay, and intentionally. But yeah, so coming from 100 plus person agency, back to a smaller shop is definitely took some getting used to, especially the early days of not having a full blown accounting team and back office to do all the things, and you're the chief cook and bottle washer of the company, which I think serves us well. Of we know how to do all the things, but we also know the best use of our time at the higher level is more intentional on the creative strategy and less on the knowing how to send an invoice in QuickBooks.
Yeah, I think, talking to a lot of entrepreneurs that are starting out or recently in, I think that's the most common shock, is all of the things that there are to do, all the things that you have to know, that especially if you worked with a larger organization, that you had other people to do those things for you. You knew they happened, but
Right.
You didn't know how or who.
Right.
So My question would be, if you were going to go back 3 years and tell 40-year-old Jeff, you need to look out for this. This is going to be your biggest thing you don't know, or the biggest challenge you're going to face in the next 3 years. What would you say?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the ones that I did know going into it are not having those kind of support teams out there. I think the bigger one would be, what is the best use of your time? Not necessarily and I'm definitely a people pleaser, so I have a hard time saying no. So overcommitting and that kind of strain of on time would be the biggest kind of, I think improvement that I've learned. And, now having a business coach and all that of back to, what we were saying as far as what clients to say no to, but also what projects to say no to, because yes, we can do all the things under the sun. Maybe the best use of our time isn't doing this, one-off freelance project that'll, as I like to, poke fun at, and my business partner and I have this sort of relationship of, chasing nickels when we could be chasing, bigger 6 and 7 figure, accounts. Mm-hmm. And, saying no, I think, to some degree, we needed to keep the lights on in the early days. Yeah. So a lot of these kind of one-off or smaller projects. And we do like working with smaller campaigns and smaller nonprofits and watching them grow over time. So that is super fulfilling. But I'd say a lot of these, one-off things that are outside of our kind of core competencies, if we could have avoided more of that, that would have freed us up to do more intentional outreach to more of our ideal clients.
Yeah, you also hit on another very common theme with entrepreneurs starting out, and one I fell victim to is trying to be everything to everyone, and when you're starting out, there is that fear of failure that I've got to take the job, I've got to take the work because, to your point, you got to keep the lights on. I think the quicker you can get to the ideal client and understand you as an individual, what is the highest and best use of your time, where you produce the most value, the quicker you get to that point, the more successful you're going to be. It sounds like you were a lot quicker on that learning curve than I was.
Hey creatives, Delana Ely here. I have a question for you. If you could pay yourself more, why aren't you doing it? For real. S Corp is an option for you, the creative entrepreneur, to move your business to the next level, to pay yourself more, and to cut your tax savings down. Yeah, less money to the IRS. We want that, right? So why haven't you done it yet? What's going on? The reality is you probably have 50,000 questions in your brain. You don't know which way is up and down, and you're still too busy to do all those things, plus also create, right? Well, the good thing for you is that Core Group is actually the place to be to get that S Corp election rolling. Yeah, we have an assessment. Let's see if you qualify. Come chat with me. Core Group, turning passion into profit.
Which segues into my next question. Thank you for teeing that up very nicely. It sounds like you've got, so you said political campaigns, nonprofits / charity, and then for-profit businesses. Is there any further refinement you perceive that you need to make to narrow your scope further?
Not necessarily. I think it's more so, as we look to scale and build our team where, Jeff and Joel aren't necessarily the one, in the weeds on every account, even though I do like to have, my pulse on, because all the clients, know who I am and who Joel is. And I like the ability to, when they call, I can pick up and I know exactly, what's going on in their program because I've had a hand in it. But as we look to scale, I think it's more intentional in the caliber of individuals that we're bringing on, because the clients that we work with, are wonderful, and especially on the campaign side, come November, some will win, some will lose, and that's natural. So we're gonna, probably not win every race that we're involved in, especially going into historically bad for our side because we've got President Trump in the White House. So our side is probably, not probably, we're facing headwinds and we're trying to, counter that. But all to say, not really, in terms of being more selective. I think we're more so, looking to build out full-fledged programs versus doing a lot more of the a la carte services. Although, for the right campaign or right cause, we're passionate about all the issues that we write about and we work on. So we can certainly be convinced otherwise. But it's I think being more discerning on who we're, and as you were talking, one of the things that popped in my head, as far as the delegating and the Dan Sullivan's great book, Who Not How, is to make sure that you're getting, the best use, the highest productivity of your time, and delegating all the rest. So whether that's, Dan Sullivan or one of the, dozens and dozens of, self-help or business coaches out there that preach some version of that, of the art of delegation is important, and trusting that you've trained the folks that you're delegating to do it up to standard.
Yeah, I find, and it certainly wasn't my case, but I find that's usually the very first entrepreneurial inflection point that you arrive at. I did not coin that phrase. That was my friend Drew Goodmanson. And it's that you realize that you're capped by your own time and energy, but like usually time. And so the company can't grow beyond you if you don't delegate. But that poses a problem for all entrepreneurs because you're turning loose of something very important, or you wouldn't have been doing it in the first place. And the thing that I found in my own experience is I found two concepts very helpful. One is Patrick Lencioni's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Sure. And
the foundation of all teamwork is trust. And I thought I had trust in my organization, but here's how that played out. We didn't actually have trust. And so we stalled because there wasn't trust. And the way it looked was I didn't trust the members of the team that they were going to do what they said they were going to do in the time frame that I gave them. And they didn't trust me that I wasn't going to meddle or change my mind and change directions. And in reality, we were both correct. But the way that manifested itself is that we didn't function very well as a team. And so we had to go back and rebuild that trust. And one of the key concepts, the other thing that I came upon during this time was, I can see his face. I can't remember his name. I hate this. Where's my producer? It was this idea of deputizing rather than delegating. And the difference is that the deputy shows up on site at a crime scene. They are the sheriff. They have the full authority of the sheriff. They can make the decision and suffer the consequences, right? And that was a difficult concept for me to embrace, because if you just delegate without authority, you run into a lot of problems. You still become the bottleneck, right?
Right.
But obviously, if you're going to delegate with authority, saying you speak in my name, you have the power to make these decisions, you have to have a lot of trust. Like that, you can't have somebody there that you think is going to go off the rails or not act in a way consistent with what you're doing. But here's the key thing for me. I had to get over my own hubris, my own ego, to understand that the right answer didn't mean the same answer that I would come up with. It wasn't the way that I would have made that decision or worked that problem. There are multiple ways to do it. It was my way is not the only way. And that took some getting over on my part.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still in that stage too. I do like the deputizing versus delegating. That is a key differentiator there, because ultimately, if you're just have a bunch of middlemen that where the client, and I've seen it by being at bigger agencies where either you are the decider or you're not, and the client, especially longstanding clients that have relationships with the founders of the company, know it, where they're you're able to make the decision, or you got to go back and run it up the flagpole, so to speak. So that is definitely a spot where we're in year 3 where we've got a lean team that we do all the things all together at this point, and we're generally clients are hearing either directly from me or Joel or some combination. Still to this day, hopefully there will come a point where yes, we can deputize some folks to be able to be the face of the company toward our clients, while we're still in the grind of the day to day right now.
Yeah, and your illustration was great, because like what happens then if you just have a order taker in between you and the decision maker is that the decision maker eventually always gets drugged back in, right? And you become the bottleneck. I remember when I promoted Chelsea to head of client service. And I actually woke up in the middle of the night after I did that. And I'm like, I just promoted a 27-year-old, she may have been 26 years, to be in charge of all client service. I woke up in a cold sweat and I'm like, what the hell did I just do? But I knew she was the right person. She didn't have all of the experience yet, but I knew she was the right person. But the first time that she told a client something that they did not want to hear, and they were like, well, I want to talk to Christian. And her response was, well, that's fine. This is my decision. He's going to tell you the same thing. And being okay with that. Here's the hardest part of deputizing is that those people that you deputize are going to make mistakes. And being okay with owning that mistake, because you're still responsible, right?
Right.
But being able to say, okay, you're free to make your own decisions means you're going to be free to make mistakes. And being okay with that as the founder and the owner is a tough hurdle to get over. But once you get past it, and you get to that point where, like, the conversations I have with Chelsea now are more of, this is a situation that I don't have any experience in. This is what I think I'm going to do. Do you have any experience share on that? Not even advice. Like, have you encountered something similar in the past? And I only know she's coming to me when she's got a problem that she can't, she hasn't experienced, or she really is wrestling with, can't figure out a path forward. And that's a very different dynamic than, did you do X, Y, and Z? That's just the accountability piece. The deputization piece is, okay, you're making those decisions.
Right. No, that is definitely where I want to get to. With folks on our team, or future employees, to where they feel like they're invested, and whether or not they're you know on paper a shareholder or have an equity stake in the company. Everyone needs to have that, like, this is your company, because, like, while yes, the logo on your shirt or on your business card says one thing, like, to our client, you are the face, and you are JMK Victory to them. So good or bad, and I think the bigger lesson that I've learned is and having some really great mentors and bosses along the way, to where to your point, like when I messed up, or when someone messes up, making sure that your leader has your back. Not to throw you under the bus, or be like, oh well, like they don't know what they're talking about, and
Let me come fix this for you. Right.
Right. So avoiding that, and I've seen it both ways, and having that either mentor or manager, owner, whatever, kind of knowing that they're in your corner. Even though things went sideways, is all important, and ultimately, the old joke of or phrase where it's like, people don't leave companies, they leave managers, is very true, and I've certainly seen it, where folks love the company I used to work for, and the clients we serve, but really had a hard time with a manager, and decided to leave because of it. And you hate to see that. And, lessons learned along the way for Joel and myself. We haven't come to, that inflection point yet, but, making sure that, we're engaged, and to a point where, yes, the people that we're employing and working with, like, we consider them family. Knowing, what's going on in their lives, is important. Because ultimately, if you have if you've had, issues with a kid or a spouse, or, you're coming into work in the wrong frame of mind, like that, the whole, fallacy of work-life balance, it's all one and the same. You're the same person. Like, it's what's happening at home will affect your work performance. So, understanding that point too is critical. And same thing, working with clients of being, knowing, what they're, to the extent you can know, like, and developing those relationships of knowing when their birthdays or anniversaries and things are, and knowing, what's going on for them on a personal level too. It's ultimately everything we do is relationship based, and yes, we happen to do direct mail fundraising.
I have a comment, and then I have a not a correction, but a difference of opinion. So the first is that well, I lost it. I know the second one. So I know the first one. The first one is, you said, like, you treat this company as your own. I think that's a fallacy that I shared, and a lot of entrepreneurs share, and it causes a lot of frustration, because the expectation is that you're going to treat this the same way that I do, and that's not ever going to happen, because if they had that same mindset, they'd have their own business, right? And sure. Your employees are never going to think like you do. They're never going to take the risks. They're never going to be as sold as you are. They're never. That's just. It's a common frustration among entrepreneurs. They get them. Why don't they think about this way? They just don't, and they won't. So quit trying. My contradiction. You said you treat your team like family, and I said that for a long time, until I realized that. That's not a good comparison, because you will not fire family. Well, maybe you would. I don't know. In the sense that, like, you can't get rid of family just because they misbehave, right? Sure, you can draw boundaries and all that other stuff, but they're still your family, right? And so that analogy didn't really work for me. And I think team is the right analogy, because if you think about a sports team, it's performance based. It's not that I don't care about you, but you're here to perform a function. And if you don't perform that function, it doesn't mean I don't like you. It just means you can't be here. And that was a very difficult thing for me to do, because I held on to a lot of employees for a long time that I shouldn't have, because I cared about them, because there was that personal connection and had that family mindset. But I had to make the shift of like, well, I still love you, but this is not your home because you're not doing the job. And that was hard.
Yeah, I mean that we haven't gotten to that point yet with anyone, and I know myself, having been a manager and a senior leader, having to have hard conversations. That's not my favorite. I don't think it's anyone's favorite.
No, if it was your favorite, you'd be a psychopath. So it's
agreed, for sure. So yeah, that is definitely a good. Thanksgiving may be a little different if you have to fire, a sibling or a spouse or a child.
Yeah. My brother was my partner for 10 years, and 3 years before he left, I knew he needed to go, and I couldn't fire him. He eventually quit. Like, I never fired him. Right. But that's the difference between the family and a team. Okay, so I want to end with this conversation, and I don't end with it because I think it's less important. I just think it's distinctly different. You are obviously very comfortable with your faith and your business. I, for a long time, was very timid about that. I felt like religion and politics were two conversations that didn't have a place in the workplace. Like, I wasn't not being a Christian when I was at work, but I was very careful to draw that line until about 18 months ago. And something shifted in me that I decided that, like, I wasn't going to try and separate those things. And I'm just curious how that worked out for you. Did you have any reservations about it? Did you have any problems with it? Like, what did that work out for you?
I mean, not as much, just because of the nature of the kind of clients we serve are political and Christian in focus. But I'd say, my involvement in C12, which I'm a big proponent of, which is a Christian business owner roundtable, where you meet locally once a month. But it's all, the underpinning of it in the C12, 12 disciples, C for Christian kind of thing, is that we're just stewards of what God has entrusted us to lead. So these companies, the real CEO of all these companies is God, and we're just here kind of managing it and stewarding all the blessings that He's given to us. And so having worked and been in C12 groups for a number of years, that was, I always loved those monthly meetings, because it was like, okay, we're gonna do, a business topic, whether it's transition planning, anything, hiring, firing, things that every company has to do, but from a biblical viewpoint, and using scripture and stories right out of the Bible, and how that kind of translates into different areas of business. And I was probably the only one in that. Here locally, I'm in the DC metro area, so there's a lot of government contractors and folks like that. But as far as working in politics and working with Christian ministries, where I'm like, okay, well, by virtue of the clients that we work with, like, we're in alignment, because if I wasn't, if I didn't believe these things, I couldn't actually produce the creative that coincides and raises money for these worthy causes. So, I don't think I had necessarily as much hesitation or, any reservation or hesitation as far as, even in starting my own company of being very kind of outwardly like, hey, this is who I am. I'm Mr. Republican. I'm also a strong believer, Christian, and that informs, business practices and who we work with and how we steward finances and, just how we run our company day to day, whether that's, if that's for you or not, this is who we are. So, folks can self-select out on the front end.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, to be honest with you, from a secular standpoint, that's still good advice. Like being who you are, being upfront about who you are, eliminates any surprises or ambiguity. Like, the more clear you can be, this is who we are, what we do, why we do it. The more people will self-select and say, well, they're not for me, which saves you time, saves you energy, and ultimately makes you more productive. So, thank you for sharing that. How do people find out more about JMK Victory if they want to learn more?
Sure. So the easiest is go to jmkvictory.com is our website. I'm on all the social medias. I'm sure we'll link in the show notes. But beyond that, as we all learned at the beginning, Kruszyna is a mouthful to say.
The thing about Polish words and Eastern words in general is there aren't enough vowels. It's just like
yes. Whole lot of consonants,
yes.
Yeah. So I have getjeffk.com as a very easy to find website, and happy to offer a 30-minute strategy session with any one of your listeners that wants to learn more about who I am, what we do. If we want to talk about politics or sports, I'm a big Green Bay Packers fan and love me some pickleball, so we can talk about pretty much anything. So either jmkvictory.com or getjeffk.com are the two easiest ways to find me. And if you want to attempt spelling my, Kruszyna, I'm pretty sure I'm the only Jeff Kruszyna out there in the Googleverse. So I'm on all the social medias, happy to, connect on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever, what have you.
Love it. Listeners will have those links in the show notes. If you like what you've heard, please rate the podcast. Share the podcast, subscribe to the podcast. If you don't like what you've heard, hit that little envelope and shoot us a message, and I'll get rid of Jeff. Until next time, ta-ta for now.
Thank you.